One of my favorite treats as a kid was going up to San Francisco with my dad and having Singapore noodles in the Sunset District. I still love the flavor of Singapore noodles, but I'm not always willing to eat all of those carbs. This recipe has the flavor of Singapore noodles with just a fraction of the carbs, and it cooks up quick, so it's perfect for a weeknight meal. Let's dive in and see how it's made. The ingredients are really simple: a couple of carrots, a couple of stalks of celery, some green onions, a red bell pepper, an onion, 2 cloves of garlic, a jalapeno, curry powder, and a little bit of turmeric, and of course, tofu slices or tofu sheet. You can find tofu slices or tofu sheets at your Asian grocery store, and they really have a great texture, very similar to noodles. They're a perfect replacement for regular noodles in a dish like this. So to get started, we want to bring a pot of water to boil, and then we're going to start prepping our ingredients. So here I've purchased tofu slices, which are basically pre-sliced up sheet tofu. And to prep these, we just need to cut off the ends, separate out the pieces, and then take the ends where everything was bunched together, and then just slice that into pieces just like the noodles that we've already pulled apart. And then for now, until our water comes up to a boil, we're just going to set those aside. Next, we're going to prep our vegetables, and that basically means just slicing them up into thin slices. We just want their shape to go along with the noodles. So taking up the celery here, slicing into thin slices. Going to do the same thing with this red bell pepper. I'm going to just slice it up into slices. This is my technique that I like for coring the center of the bell pepper. You just cut both ends off, slide the knife down the center of it, and cut out all the ribs and the seeds. And then just slice them up into thin slices, kind of like the celery. And set those aside. And with the green onions, we want to separate the white part from the greener part of the green onions. And we want the white part to be slightly longer pieces. And we're going to set those aside because we're going to put them in separately into our dish. And then with the green part, we're going to slice it at a slight angle just to make it look a little bit fancy, and we'll set those aside separately. And with our 1/4 of an onion here, we just want to thinly dice it. And we're going to set that aside. And then I like to use a garlic press to mince up my garlic. It makes it really easy, so just mince those up and set those aside. And then with the carrot, I wanted a little bit more of a noodle texture, and so I used the spiralizer. You could also just thinly slice the carrot. That would work out fine too. And then finally the jalapeno. We're just going to cut the seeds and the ribs out of the center, and then also slice that thinly and set that aside. And now we're ready to start cooking. So now the water should be up to a boil, and what we're going to do is we're going to add in about a teaspoon of baking soda. The baking soda is going to help to soften the tofu and give them more of a noodle-like texture. And we're going to cook this for about 4 minutes, and then take it off the heat, drain and rinse the noodles, and set those aside, and then let's start cooking. So heat up your wok to medium-high heat, add in some oil, and swirl to cover the bottom of our pan. And then we're going to be cooking our ingredients in batches to make sure that we're able to cook each ingredient at a really high heat. So we're going to start out with our pepper slices. So toss in your pepper slices. Fry those up for 1 minute and then set them aside. Get the wok back up to temperature, and you might need to add in a little bit more oil, and then toss in the celery slices. Fry those up for another 1 minute and then pull those out and set those aside. You can just put those right there with the peppers that you had. And then fry up the white part of the green onion and the onion, and fry that up for about 1 minute. Then add in the garlic and fry that for another 30 seconds. And then we're going to add in the curry and the turmeric, and we're going to stir that well. And you might need to add about 1 teaspoon of oil, and we're going to kind of turn that into a little bit of a sauce with the oil and the curry powder. And then we're going to add in the carrot slices and stir that up for about 1 minute. And we'll add in about a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm also using a little bit of MSG because it just brings out that amazing flavor. Stir that up a little bit more. And then we're going to add in our tofu slices. Stir that up until those tofu slices get coated with the curry. And finally, add in our vegetables. Mix that all up. And there we go. We've got a beautiful low-carb Singapore noodle dish ready in about 25 minutes. Hey, not bad.